Hello everyone, my name is Kitetsu and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to get straight to the point here. Someone left a comment on my video a few days ago telling me that they had found an image online about some elf leaks, and they gave me a link to the image in question. People, we may be getting elves for real this year, and it may not even be that far away. First of all, big shout out to Cactus Co, I believe it's pronounced, for providing me with this information. If anyone else gets cool information like this, please do feel free to share it with me, because this was actually news to me and it's worth talking about. If you have stuff that's worth talking about, I will do my best to do so. I don't want my entire channel to be all about leaks because they may have no substance to them at all. But this one in particular I just can't ignore. Obviously, as a leak, that came from someone who knew someone via someone else, then shared it through the internet. Do not take this leak as proof or fact or definite in any way. It may be totally fabricated and we simply won't know until we get a few months down the line. That being said, I've discovered something completely new about the visitor video that I talked about the other day, and it links into this topic pretty strongly, so I will talk about that soon as well. Let's have a quick look at this image. It was supposedly written on November the 27th, 2017, so just over a month ago now, and it shows some conversations that people were having in a forum. First thing is first, that date could be photoshopped. I haven't attempted to find the original post or anything like that. I literally just have this image. So, you know, it wouldn't be that hard to change the date that it was posted. If it genuinely was posted in November, however, it has already made some pretty incredible predictions that are just simply too close to reality to be mere guesswork. First, they predicted that Demons would be getting a joint 40k and Age of Sigmar release in January. They got that spot on because we have just had our incredible Nurgle release. Age of Sigmar had the Maggotkin of Nurgle Battle Tome, and Demons just had their Codex come out for 40k, along with all of those incredible new kits like the Great Unclean One, and all of that stuff. So far, so good. The guide then predicts a Custodes release, which we are literally neck deep in the middle of right now. Now obviously I'm not a 40k channel, I primarily focus on Age of Sigmar, so I'm not going to talk too heavily about the topic of the 40k release, but so far these leaks have been spot on, and the prediction that the Custodes stuff will go on into February and beyond seems like a given. After predicting a few more upcoming 40k releases, the bit that grabbed my immediate attention was the last sentence. April and May will see 2 new Elven armies for Age of Sigmar. That could be potentially incredible. I almost don't want to get my hopes up too much for this, because I have wanted elves for so long to return to Age of Sigmar. But the fact is, we know Teclis and Tyrion have returned to the Realm of Light. We know that Malerion is likely Malekith, and that he has returned too, along with one of my all-time favourite fantasy characters, Morathi, in the Realm of Shadow. That means we have 2 elven factions that exist, but are currently completely unaccounted for in Age of Sigmar. We even know beyond any reasonable doubt that these factions exist. I think it was part of Silver Tower, but we had 2 lowly single elves released for Age of Sigmar, and they came from the Realm of Shadows. Those are the only 2 elves we've had so far released for the Age of Sigmar. It is confirmed that Mistweaver comes from Ulgu on a war scroll, and both of these new elves looked very reminiscent of the Dark Elves of old. Being led by none other than Malerion and Morathi, this is exactly what we would expect for this faction. It was literally only a few days ago that I was talking about the possibility of elves coming to Age of Sigmar, and I did not think I would be talking about this again so soon. I predicted in that video that Morathi could potentially be the voice in the visitor video, that Games Workshop released the other day for Malign Portents. The mysterious visitor implies that her people take prisoners, and the video ended focusing on a crescent moon. The symbol has been long associated with the Dark Elves, who in turn are infamous for the treatment of their prisoners and slaves. Mistweaver's Sigh is covered in crescent moons, and there just seems to be a very strong link between all of these themes of shadows, relating of course to Ulgu, and moons relating to the elves. All of these things just keep cropping up. Something that I totally missed until now is that the email that was sent around by Games Workshop about the visitor video had a short description accompanying it. That read, "From the shadows, a new foe emerges." Firstly, shadows, okay? The realm of shadows, perhaps? I'm taking that as more evidence for Morathi. Whether it's a small bit of evidence or not, you never know. Additionally, it says a new foe. Well, Neferata isn't a new foe at the moment to Age of Sigmar. Her model has been out since the end times, and there are bits of lore relating to her antics in several books by now. The description then goes on to read, "An ancient nemesis is returning to the world of Warhammer." An ancient nemesis returning to the world of Warhammer. That is suggesting it's someone who has been missing and perhaps unheard of since the Age of Myth. It certainly seems to actually rule out Neferata, and funnily enough, a few days ago I would have put money on the visitor being Neferata. It's still a strong possibility, and yet I just feel all of this new evidence massively throws that into doubt. The icing on the cake is that at the bottom of that leaked image, it says that there is a rumour of 2 new elf factions being released. The first being a Cthulhu-style army involving elves riding seahorses, and the second being an all-female Dark Elves cult led by Morathi herself. Okay, so after I stopped getting images of the Little Mermaid out of my head, I came to realise that this all makes a lot of sense. If we are indeed getting 2 elf factions, one would surely be for the Realm of Light and the other for the Realm of Shadow. No need to guess which is going to be which. I'm predicting that when we do get elves for Age of Sigmar, they are going to somehow be a surprise from what we expect. With Age of Sigmar, Games Workshop isn't just rehashing things exactly as they were from Fantasy. The Wood Elves faction was released with a twist with the Sylvaneth, with Tree Revenants kind of having this strange link to the Wood Elves of old, and until recently, Wanderers were just completely left on the back burner. When the Dwarves were relaunched last year, they returned to Age of Sigmar as flying pirates, and I don't think anyone saw that coming. The idea of an army of elves coming from the sea and riding seahorses is not a crazy idea at all. As for a new faction from the Realm of Shadows led by Morathi, if it does indeed come out, you can guarantee that I'm going to be starting a new Age of Sigmar army immediately, as if I don't have enough already. I was looking at the article on Warhammer Community that came out recently that reflected on 2017 and all of the releases we've had for Warhammer and Age of Sigmar over the last year, and I was trying to work out if any of that would give us hints as to what is coming out over the following year in terms of release schedules. Games Workshop have allegedly promised that this is going to be the year for Age of Sigmar, and so far they have kicked things off pretty well with Malign Portents, and I'm hoping that it's going to be as big and exciting as we all want it to be. Firstly, looking at last year, I can almost guarantee that we are getting a brand new faction for Age of Sigmar this year. We had Caradron Overlords last year, so we should get at least 1, if not 2 new armies this year. And elves are high up on that priority list for releases. So is Death. But this whole year is focusing on the narrative of Death, so we have no idea what that means in terms of figures. We know new Death models are coming at some point, but we have no idea how far down the line that will be. Personally, I'm guessing that we may see more Death units for existing factions instead of creating a whole new faction. that's why I'm leaning closer to elves for this year. Interestingly, the article on Warhammer Community for the Kharadron Overlords was dated April, which also ties in exactly with this leak for a release window for the new elves. Other than that, we also had Shadespire release last year, Blight War and all of the Tzeentch stuff at the start of last year. Interestingly, that the last 2 Januaries, including the one we're in now, has seen some big demon launches. So does that mean we are getting Slaanesh perhaps next January to February time? We can only keep those fingers crossed. As for Shadespire, we surely need those new warbands imminently too, so expect those to be announced anytime now. But what do you guys think? I mean, we've had the announcement of Malign Portents and we still don't really know what that means, but if they really are focusing more on Age of Sigmar this year than they did last year, then it wouldn't be too far a stretch to think we're getting more armies. And the leak is saying perhaps April-May, which seems to tie in very well with the Kharadron Overlords release we had last year. So I guess it didn't really tell me as much as I thought it might, but it does all seem to very loosely tie together in a way that could work. And if we were hypothetically going to get a big Slaanesh release for Age of Sigmar next year, that would follow on very nicely for having Morathi relaunch with a Dark Elf faction in the Realm of Shadows. Anyway, I think I've talked enough for one video. Let me know down below if you think these rumours could be true. Let me know if you like the idea of elves returning this year, and what you think about the idea of Morathi returning. You must also admit the wording of that video description for the Visitor was also highly unusual, so give me your thoughts on that too. So I'm going to leave this video here. You guys are literally the best audience on YouTube. You're just bombarding me with support and it's absolutely incredible. So stay awesome and I will see you guys very soon for the next video.